Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Good evening. Welcome to the Bellows Falls Village Trustees regular meeting. It's Tuesday, January 12th, 2021, and it's now 6:03. And we're located down here in the Town Hall Lower Theater. Thank you for those who could attend by Zoom. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we did we receive the minutes from last meeting? December 22nd's minutes were not available. Therefore, we'll have to push this off to the second meeting of the month.
All of the minutes, just so you guys are aware, are online too.
Okay, so we'll move them to January 26th.
Yeah, they were printed at the website.
On the website, but they were not available in the packet.
Right.
Any additions to the agenda for routine administrative matters and/or pressing matters that will require ratification at a future meeting? Anyone have anything to add? Apparently not. All right. Any public comment? I can't see because the screen's so small. If there's anyone in the public, could you please speak up if you wish to have your 2-3 minutes?
I don't see anybody, Deb.
Oh, and Jigs, check your email.
What's that? Oh,
Okay. There's Jigs, but there's no one asking to speak, so there's no public comment. Going once, going twice. Okay. Moving on to the manager's report.
We're having microphone issues, so hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, so hopefully that will not be as muted. I guess last night it was a little bit difficult to follow up. Just a couple of things I know that, and maybe Deb, you might want to report on where the ordinance committee stands, because there will be some things coming back to the board for future action. We're close on a couple items, so maybe if you wanted to give a quick update from that ordinance committee, just so everybody has an understanding.
Sure, like right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
what's coming back through.
All right,
So-
well, the ordinance committee had met for a month, about a little over a month. We had determined to take a break for winter and get into 2021. I provided a spreadsheet of all of the ordinances that we've been working on, which is like every one of them, but only a couple of them have gotten it far enough to be approved by the trustees at this point. We're going to be going back over all of them, and that also includes input from the ordinance committee on the rental housing ordinance, which will come before the trustees again as we move forward and get more input from the public and get to open hearings and all that informational stuff for the community. And I think that's basically where we are. We'll be going next meeting back to every 2 weeks, and we will be going over all of the ordinances again and making sure we have done each of the things required, getting up to passing it through the trustees, and then the 60-day comment period prior to putting them into action. That's all I have on that.
Okay, a couple of items that will not be reflected in the financials, that is, we were closing out some year end with some audit thrown on top. So it's been a little hectic in finance, but just wanted to give you a couple of updates on some items that are actually good news items. We did receive money. If you remember back in the fall, we applied for assistance from the state of Vermont for people that were impacted by COVID that were having difficulty paying utility bills. We did get money right at the last minute, at the end of the deadline. I think we got our check on the 31st or the 1st of January. So we did get $7,600 from the state. Finance was applying those to each individual account. So we will update the accounts, and then we will get back to you with now what is past due. Still working towards March, where we're hopeful that if the state lifts our current moratorium, that we'll then come back to you with a list of accounts that are past due to the point where we would discuss whether we're going to pursue shutoff. So we're making progress. We're going to offer people, again, one last opportunity between now and the March and the cycle to get on a payment plan to avoid the shut off. But if people have not gotten money through the state, did not apply for a payment plan, and did not make an effort to get their balances reconciled, we'll come back to you with a list for for shut-offs as we get through in March and into the spring. So that process is moving along. We also received another $129,000 that was from that Ledger grant. We had spent a lot of time discussing that. The breakout of the funds and where the monies are going to go have not been applied. We just got that check last week. So we have to do a breakdown, and that's part of the reason why the financials that you received probably don't reflect any of that additional money. So we will make sure that that's done for the next time that we have updates, but there is some items that will be impacted by that money as well.
So what's the intent of, you said Ledger grant?
Yes.
What's the intent of that
So
grant?
those were COVID expenses that we had, basically, we had emergency preparedness expenses, we had expenses with sludge, we had other expenses with upgrades to like this building, the HVAC system, other things that are COVID related. So of all the things we submitted, we did get, $129,000 back. So we're going to be breaking that back into the various accounts to make sure that everything is back to, from an accounting standpoint, where the expenditures were initially recorded. Then we'll get a better sense of where we stand on budget.
Is this town and village split between?
Town and village.
Okay, so this is split between town and village.
So there'll be some work that has to get done, but the next time that we do your financials, those funds should be appropriated to the correct expenses, and we should get a better handle on exactly where we are financially. So just wanted to give you those two pieces of information because they're not reflected in the financials you received today, but they will be in the update as we go forward.
Right. Well, it's great to hear that there's some forward movement on COVID expenses. We've been talking about it for months and months, but yeah. It's great.
Yeah, I have to admit, I think the staff did a great job. It's painful. You guys know how painful it is. The state requires tremendous amounts of documentation. I mean, piles and piles of paper went into this submission. So this $129,000 was quite frankly a lot of hard work. So I was very pleased that came back. We have no idea, based on this most recent round of federal money, if there'll be more money coming after the first of the year. It's unclear. If there is, we'll give you, a heads up and try to, again, participate as we can to try to gain, additional revenue. But as of now, we have not heard of any extension of these programs. So those two reports that I gave you on the two most recent reimbursements back from the state is all that I'm aware of, at least for the short term.
Quick question. I just had I'm just curious. Was the $7,600 for the utility grant?
Yes.
I'm just curious, how did that go to the applicants, or did that funding come directly to the village?
No, it actually.
How'd that work?
Well, the village applied as the since we run the utility.
Yeah.
And they simply looked at, the state then looked at all of the accounts that were past due from March through December. And they gave accounts within that period of time credits, depending upon, they went through some criteria.
Yeah.
So that's how they allocated that. So we had to go back then, once we got
Right.
the detail from them, and allocate those back against those accounts. So the money was never to an individual, it came directly to us.
Okay, I was just curious how that worked.
Right.
Thanks.
They will show up as credits,
Sure.
obviously, in
Yeah.
people's account. And, our hope is now that we can try to bring everybody to some either payment, some movement to, we'd love everybody to come current. And then if they're not, then like I said, we'll probably have to come back to you in March with a list and talk about where we are with shut-offs if the state lifts the moratorium. So.
Thanks.
Great. Is there anything else at this point?
No, the rest of it we'll cover, I think, in some of the agenda items. So I'll hold off.
Okay. Well, I think, I did want to know, I know it's only been a few weeks, but if there's any additional movement on the dryer and any of the repairs we were doing for wastewater, because it's not listed on the 4 items on our agenda.
No, Rob's been out. I've only gotten some periodic updates. He's due back next week, so we'll meet I'll get an update from him and get a plan going forward that I can update you with your next meeting in full.
Okay,
So I didn't want to give you just a partial update. I need him to get back and get his feet under him, and then we'll give you an update. Things are progressing. Nothing has stalled. It's just I don't
right.
have the most recent information. He has a better
That's fine.
Better
Just wanted
update.
to see where that was.
Yep.
And the other thing was, I had asked for the plow plan, and the reason for that, of course, is it's an annual event. The first snowstorm, huge, big storm, whichever one's going to be, comes, and there are always complaints from certain citizens who don't get plowed. Their streets don't get plowed, especially the side streets off of Atkinson, and others can be a concern. And then if indeed there is at all a policy on how we handle, because the questions come up, how we handle the parking lots, the municipal lots. Those are concerned, and at least a couple people have had complaints this year.
Right.
So,
Well, I gave you, again, the plot plan it's a little bit difficult to work through, but we can go through that. I know that's one of our agenda items.
Mm.
On the lots themselves,
oh, it is.
yes.
I'm
So
sorry.
We can go through
Yeah.
that, and we'll go through the lots when we do that as well.
And we will.
And since
That's fine.
Dave's here, he
My apologies.
can give us some update on that as well.
I guess the only other one was the fire department's phone. Has that been handled?
So yeah, I was a little confused when he asked me that. I thought you were talking about their pager system because we were looking at some options with their toning, but it was not that. There's a copper line that seems to be periodically failing and has high levels of static. So we're working with a couple things. First of all, one of the things that we're doing, Dave's got to do some updates anyway because he's got this new requirement as the cars come in with this new camera program, they've got to have better facilities for their uploads. As part of that, we're going to look at eliminating the current copper line because to trace the fault back to the pole and then try to figure out where the copper's failing with all those wires, and it's going to be a nightmare. So we just might bypass it altogether and go for either voice over IP, which would be his primary phone line, still the same number, but then it would also eliminate that static and it would give him greater opportunity when he leaves the office. He can forward it to his cell and be more available, in that respect as well. So we don't have that proposal yet. We should have that shortly, and I think that should solve that problem.
So it's in process, right?
Yes, 100%.
Great. Okay, if there's no other questions for the manager at the moment, we'll move on to the agenda, which is the police update,
That's
number
great.
one. And Dave is here.
Dave is here. Dave, you want to maybe grab a microphone because it's a lot easier to catch you than it is to get you in the back.
Is it on?
Yes.
Yes.
like-
You got a light.
All right, we got a light. For an update, we've been working diligently, trying to recruit some new people. That is not going as well as necessarily we would like it to. We're not the only PD that's down on people. We're not the only ones that are looking. But that is an area where we're working on it pretty much daily to some degree to try and find somebody to hire. But it is there are not a lot of applicants out there looking to become police officers here or anywhere else at this point in time. And we will continue doing that and working on that for that. We have had some burglaries in town that seem to be matching up with burglaries that are happening in North Walpole. The same MO is going on. We've been working with Walpole on these cases. They have actually had more than we have, but we are certainly working on that, trying to get some information and some leads on that. We have a few things going with it, but certainly if anybody has any information, sees anything suspicious, to certainly call us, or if it's in Walpole, to certainly call Walpole PD. We have gotten a number of calls from people if they see a car pull up or they see something, but none of those have panned out to be to be part of the investigation. Today we had a kickoff meeting for the outreach program for overdose and treatment, which is going to be a program that goes through the Turning Point in Springfield. Springfield has the program now. We are joining. There is a new grant that has been awarded for $120,000 to assist with this. And the kickoff meeting was today. And we're certainly looking forward to that. We're going to have some training on that for the officers. But basically what it is, if somebody is in crisis, if they have an overdose, we send somebody out. The program sends people out just to talk with them, to let them know there is treatment out there, that there is some kind of a hope for them. And if they need something, that it's out there that we can help do it. And hopefully this will become you'll get some people and to assist some people with their addiction. We are planning on a meeting. We will wanted it to happen earlier in the month here in January. We're now looking near the end of the month. We'd like to have a kind of a mixed meeting with in-person, social distancing and stuff, Zoom, and probably Fact TV to reach out to the community and do that. We are still in the planning stations with that. As the manager mentioned, we're working with Dominion on getting everything ready to get the cameras installed. The Axon, from where we bought the cameras, it'll be the end of January to the first part of February before they can send a team out to install them. But we're working with Dominion to get everything lined up to be able to download it. There was a couple of hitches with it, but I think we've got that resolved pretty much now. So.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of concern with that because of the, obviously, when you're transmitting to a cloud and the type of data that they're going to be sending, we have to make sure that we have all the correct security protocols. So that's been a little bit of a stumbling block. We've got a couple of old Windows 7 PCs at the police station, and the concern there is that Windows 7 is not supported anymore for things like malware or any of the other types of security protections. So if anybody is going to try to break into your system through a back door, Windows 7 is the perfect place for them to do it because it has the least amount of protection and the greatest amount of vulnerability. So we're looking at trying to figure out what we can do, either upgrading the machines or trying to find other ways to bypass those vulnerabilities, because that came out of this whole process as well. So it's a little complicated. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a real tech person. I rely on, obvious basic information. But it certainly seems to me that it's prudent that we make sure that we address as many of these potential problems up front, so we don't have somebody hack into our police systems or to get into that data and in some way corrupt it or create other problems for us. So it's been a little bit of a time lag in order to get all that spec'd out and all the technical people on the same page. Dave has a lot of patience, more than I do. So I think we're close. And I think once we're there, I think we'll be confident that the system will be as secure as we can make it with, I think, the right technical support and the correct training. I think we'll have a successful implementation. So we're a little behind on where we want it to be with the rollout, but I'm confident that I think when we get there, we'll have it together and it'll be the right program and it'll work the way we want it to.
I think one of the issues were that we have to have an area of our server either walled off or a specific server because the video comes from the cruisers, it buffers in the server and then goes to the cloud. It doesn't go directly from the cruiser to the cloud. But our servers are of an age that you can't wall them off. wall a section of them off to do that. And that has caused us some issues with the space and how we're going to be able to get the buffering unit set up with that to get it to the cloud. But Dominion is working with us on it.
Not insurmountable problems, but certainly problems, and, you know, we'll have to get them addressed and overcome. On the issue of recruitment and our current strength, I think, you know, Dave underplayed a little bit. We've been meeting at least weekly, if not more, on trying to figure out ways that we can. In the past, Dave's been very creative about going to other departments and reaching out to other officers who might be looking for a change or potentially looking at a different type of policing that's available in Bellows that might not be available in somebody who's doing more generic type of police work. The challenge that we're running into, quite frankly, is all of those departments are also understaffed. And so the types of officers that we would normally be able to maybe poach or encourage to come, they're just not available. Everybody in our region is short-staffed. We've even looked across the river. They're short-staffed. They're looking at us, trying to figure out if there's ways that they can poach in Vermont. So it's a little bit of a concern. We had hoped to have these vacancies filled pretty much by the first of the year. We're thinking now that this might be a longer-term problem, another 6 months to a year, and we're going to have to come back to you guys with some more creative options or opportunities, because we can't run at that limited staffing for that length of period of time and maintain the training and maintain the time off and you know, all the other things that are necessary for him to keep the department running. So we're working on some of those. We'll get back to you, hopefully, if not the next meeting, the beginning of February. And, you know, we've talked about things that, you know, we haven't talked about in a long time here. When Dave first came on, he said at that time in Bellows, they were actually giving bonuses to people to come to fill positions. They gave recruitment bonuses, much like hospitals were doing for nurses for a period of time. We're going to look into that. The sheriff obviously always has you know, offered opportunities to use sheriff's department personnel. The problem with that is the contract rates for those are substantially more than I think what we would be willing to absorb within our current budget. Just to give you an example, in their fiscal year 22, the rates that they sent out to just the generic, you know, communities, it's $41 per hour for an officer at a 2,000 hour rate, and then anything less than 2,000 hours per year is $52 per hour per officer. So it doesn't take much, and you guys can do the math to figure out that that gets into real money real fast. So that's a concern. We're going to have to come up with some options or some ideas, and so we're going to work on some things, bring them back, discuss them here. If you have other ideas, we'd love to hear them. We're open to suggestions because we're very concerned that we're sort of running in place, and it's not a typical sort of, you know, dip in the pool and then the pool's going to return. This might be a condition that's going to last for a longer period of time, and we're a little concerned about how do we get through this. So that's really what we're going to come back and talk with you about in more detail.
Okay, good. Any questions for Dave at this point? Did you have something?
I do, but not
Not on this subject.
on anything he's covered yet.
Okay. Did you have other topics to cover with?
No,
this
I
subject?
think I think that's good. You go right ahead. Anything
Let me just
you-
double check with Jake. You all set for right now, for the moment?
I was just curious, can you hear me okay?
I think you have to unmute
Muted.
Jigs.
I don't think I'm
Did
muted.
we lose Jigs?
He's checking.
No,
No, he's
he's
here.
Oh, okay.
I'm muted.
Trying to see if he had anything on the subjects already covered by Dave.
Okay.
I was going to ask about
This one.
police, huh? I guess you can't hear me.
So,
Can you hear me now?
We can hear
So
you
wait, why don't you
perfectly
go ahead?
well.
ask him. Oh, he
All
just
right.
left.
I just had a couple quick questions, I guess. I was looking at the December reports that we get.
Mhm.
So it looked like the second biggest percentage of calls, maybe the third, was assisting agencies outside the village. Sound right?
It wouldn't necessarily be outside of the village. It may be an ambulance in the village. It may be the fire department. It may be probation in the village. So it wouldn't be necessarily all outside of the village. Some of them might be, but certainly if we go with probation to a house, if they're going to arrest somebody, we would punch an agency assist card. But that would be in the village. We wouldn't go with them outside of the village to do that.
So according to the December report, there was 21 outside the village incidents.
Okay.
For a variety, it breaks in one of the reports, it breaks it down to Westminster, Rockingham, and Walpole. My only question is there any way we can get I don't know if you can do this, but for future monthly reports, like of them 21, how many were actual requests from them agencies versus things that we
could go through each one individually and we could list it out for you. We could get that information for you. We wouldn't necessarily go out without a request. If say state police wanted us at the roadway, if they had an issue, they would request us. We wouldn't just show up there or volunteer for there.
And the other thing I was going to just mention was according to the percentage breakdown for foot patrol. I know it's that time of year too as well, but showed 2.21%. It seems a little low, but I don't know. Is that normally that low?
It shouldn't be that low, but it could be because of the temperatures and the things we got going and stuff. That foot patrols have not been as much as they usually
Right,
are.
and I know for a while, for a while, we were hearing some good news about a little bit more foot patrols that were going on. People were happy, and
Yeah, a couple months ago.
but when I was looking at the report for December, it said 2.21%. I just thought that. I just wanted to make you're probably aware of it, but
I am aware that, and that's probably a common thing, that in the winter foot patrols aren't
obviously, it's not
as much as, and because people are inside too, and it's not as productive a thing to do. So
Is that it?
I'm good. Yep. Thank you.
And I don't know where Jigs went.
I don't
Jigs
either.
here, can you not hear him? Because I can hear him.
Well, I tried to speak, but
I did want to ask you, Dave, the $120,000 grant. Who
Deb,
received
can
that?
you hear me?
it was the outreach group.
Was it
that-
Turning
Deb?
Point?
It's
or-
through Turning Point.
Turning Point,
Yes,
okay.
it's through Turning Point.
That's fine.
I can hear you.
But it will pay for some of our training, and it will the supplies that we give.
Yeah, I know
give
they
out
had
and
come to
stuff.
us last year, or the year before, and done a little presentation about the things that they offer
Mhm.
to the community and that sort of thing. And at one point, I thought they were going to be in the, not our place, but
Parks
the
Place.
Parks Place.
Yes, they have people that work out of there.
Out of there,
Turning
right.
Point does now.
I mean, they
and
do, that building does so many different things.
It is a busy place.
It is. So that was probably a couple of years ago. Okay.
Jigs, I'm on the phone with Scott
Right.
fixing it. Hold
At
on.
this point, we're done. With you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
So we're going to move on to the. Oh, okay, because I think he had something. Sorry about that. Wasn't sure why he couldn't talk. He probably had to hang up in order to reconnect. Maybe. So for those of you who are waiting, we're trying to get our other trustee, Jigs
Can you hear me
McAuliffe, back
now?
on the line on Zoom.
Through the
And I
laptop.
believe
or
he has a
no?
question for Chief Bemis. So I wanted to wait and make sure that he's good before we move on to the next agenda item. Thank you.
Deb, can you hear me?
I can, but Scott can't at the moment. Just hold on one sec. Jigs, he's trying to fix it.
Because I can hear you too, but
I've lost it. Having technical difficulties.
All right, we'll try that. Realtek audio will now be used.
I think you unplugged that TV wire, not the HDMI to the TV.
but can you hear me there? Okay, cool. Now we just need. So we're back. I can.
Looking right up your nose. Yeah. Apparently the.
Hey, Jigs, we're back if you want to come back and talk to Dave.
Okay,
Apparently the
I'm here.
television is looking for an upgrade. It doesn't, so it needs to be, that needs to be
I'm
done.
here. I'm here.
I'll work on that tomorrow with Dominion Tech. So we
Okay,
can get it
thank
back
you.
up.
Okay, Jigs, you're on.
You can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. The question I had for Dave and for Scott was, is there any initiatives within the state regarding the police academy to try to stimulate recruitment into the police field? Clearly we're talking about all these people that don't have jobs, and yet there's a huge demand for police officers. So
I don't believe that the academy has a program to recruit people. I believe they would leave that more to agencies themselves. I know state police has several troopers dedicated just to recruitment to bring them on. The one thing the academy is doing and looking at through the legislature and through the training council is level 3 and level 2 certifications to upgrade some of the level 2 certifications to level 3. They haven't come out with a complete plan on that yet, but that is something that's in the works, which would indicate that we would be able to have people working that and would not have to go to the 15, 16-week academy. They would still have to go, but it wouldn't be as long and it wouldn't be as the academy as it is right now. But that's a ways off before that is finalized and completed.
okay, thank you.
That you good, Jigs?
I'm good. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right then. Now we will move on to the next item. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, can you just hold on for 1 minute on plowing? Because we'll talk about the.
Ah,
So, since you're here.
next item on the agenda is the plowing in the village.
Thanks. So what I gave to you comes from our winter operations plan, which the copy that I have was last revised in February of 2000. So I apologize that it was a little, was not digitally available. Deb had asked if I could make it that way. I was able to get at least the basic information for you in terms of the routes, both in the village and in the town, as well as the sidewalk plowing routes. But I thought before we got into the specifics about roads or streets or assignments, a question has come up about our policy for when we tow based on plowing of the municipal lots. Basically, how that works is when everybody gets their permit, they're told as part of their permit application that the lots will be posted. They'll have to remove their cars periodically when we have storms. They all acknowledge when they sign their permit that they understand that's part of the agreement. We post the lot usually 24 hours before we actually then do the plowing and removal. We also then try to call people as well before we tow a car. So we do is everything we can do to try to reach out to somebody before we finally end up having the vehicle removed so we can clear the lot. So
Yeah, certainly when we have the last really the only time that we towed 7 cars out of the Hetty Green lot. The officers tried to reach out to people with phone numbers from what we have in our system through dispatch has to try and move the vehicles. But we couldn't get hold of those 7 people. As it is, we had some moved that came in and moved their vehicles, but we did have to tow 7 of them. We issue a ticket at that point in time for $75 per the ordinance. The vehicle is towed. Then the people come to the PD and pay for that. We then pay the tow operators that have removed the vehicles. We've changed it up a little bit as to where we park the vehicles this year. But 6 of the vehicles have been picked up, and even trying to get that, one of them was a week and a half after we towed it before we could find the person to get them to remove it. But the last thing we really want to do is tow a vehicle out of the parking lot. And I understand that it upsets people. I've talked to 3 or 4 of them that were towed, and they were not happy. But we try not to tow them. But if we have to, we have to, because one car in the middle of the parking lot can make a mess to cleaning it off, cleaning the whole thing out to scoop it out. So it's not our preference to tow them, but if we have to, we have to. So
The complainant that was the one of 2 that I was aware of, said that in the past, I don't know how this works, they were sent emails, give them advising them that ahead of time that they were going to be plowing in the next 24 hours and they need to move the car. That's what I heard, but we don't have any official policy, like written policy, because you're telling them, you're saying what the clerk tells them when they, fill out the
Right.
paperwork. And, but a phone call, and I guess for the complainant's issue was that she was sleeping and turns down her volume at night. Now I can say I don't because of the company I run, but a number of people don't want to answer their phones when they go to bed at night, so they'll turn it off, so they won't be bothered. But then there they go, not being available when a phone call comes in for something like towing their vehicle. Do the information that Kathleen receives, the clerk gets, does that go to the police department, Dave?
we do have that, yes.
Okay, so that only includes phone numbers, right? It's not going to include an email address or that sort of thing.
They collect email addresses from some people, yes. The emails never came from the police department. I think they came from the town clerk's
Right,
office.
probably from the document they fill out when they want to get there.
But we
Perfect.
have never emailed. If we,
Yeah.
sometimes we'll go and knock on doors. Sometimes we'll call if we know where they are. We don't have addresses for everybody on the forms, I don't believe, or at least the printouts we have don't. But it usually has the phone number, and our dispatch in Newfane has it. Our dispatch here has it. But it's we can't tow before midnight at night. We'll try and reach out to them. When I work nights, we would reach out, earlier than that. But it's at midnight by ordinance that we can tow, and that's the time that they go.
I completely understand from my standpoint. It's logical that if you see a big snowstorm and the lots are full where you park your vehicles, you should consider they're going to need to be plowing this at night. So you better consider moving it without getting notified, not to mention the 24-hour notice from the sandwich boards that you put out. But
Right,
this
and we don't
particular
do it
person said she never
immediately.
looked at it because she was walking to work every morning and wasn't paying attention to her vehicle in the lot, but there's a lot of snow. So that's my thing. It's like it's not a perfect system, and I understand that.
Right.
I'm sorry, Wade, you had something.
Yeah, but if I remember, if the manager said, if I gather what he said correctly, is when they saw all this information and details are on the permit when they sign off for it.
Yes, we make
So
sure
there you
they're.
go.
And they're given the sheet to take
So it's
with
done-
them
so
to see that.
it's not
I
like-
know,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because people get very upset, and it's, it's frustrating for us because like Dave said, we don't want to tell you. We
Right.
would much prefer you to move your car, let us clean the lot, and we're all happy. But
So do we
unfortunately-
recoup all them fees, all that money that,
We recoup the $75. Yes. So there's no plus to the car, to the village.
right?
If we find a car parked out on the street at night, we'll put a $20 ticket on it. The village gets that $20. When we go through the parking lots to issue tickets for cars that don't have their sticker, the village gets that. But with the tow, we get nothing.
You
So
gotta pay the tow person.
we have to pay the tow person the
Right.
75. So nobody can say that we're towing vehicles to make money for the village.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah.
a wash.
Yeah, it's an inconvenience. It's a frustration. I guess we can try to maybe make, more I don't know, bolder type on the forum so people are aware that, after storm events, please make sure that you pay attention.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
it's
not sure what
very,
else I can do.
it's very detailed in the paperwork that they receive
Yeah.
when they sign for their permit.
And I understand that, but
Yeah.
the complaints are coming from people who didn't get that night's heads up. Instead of going, hey, it snowed over 12 inches, you're gonna expect they're gonna have to plow it out, you better move your vehicle. I mean, I don't know what else we can do, because if you're not gonna answer your phone because you turned it off at night when they call, you're not gonna answer your
Right.
emails necessarily at midnight either, so.
Makes it hard.
I'm sorry, Stefan, you had something.
Yeah,
Sorry, Shannon.
it was mentioned earlier that some of them don't list their addresses. Maybe we ought to revamp, or who ought to revamp the form so
And
that
require it.
require an email, a telephone number, and a physical address.
Yeah,
Definitely.
not everyone has an email or a phone.
But if
they-
you don't have those and they have to get towed, then the police can't find you or give you a heads up, hey, we're towing your vehicle unless you come and get it.
No, they generally have one or the other, but they just not
Necessarily have both.
Yeah,
But
they
what was
don't.
stated earlier was the fact that there wasn't a physical address for what, one or two or however many. I don't see what it's gonna hurt to require a physical address.
Yep, that's true.
And then I just wanted to say,
Cost all the efforts you need to make to find the person. If you can't find them with that, then you know what? Unfortunately, but sorry.
No permit, yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And the lots don't get cleaned out the night of the storm. It's usually the
Right.
next night,
Yeah.
2 days after. So
Right.
Yeah.
people have some warning that,
Yep.
hey, it snowed 2 feet.
And I mean, I know at least in the Hetty Green lot, there have been derelict vehicles that have sat,
Well, yeah,
you
Same
know,
thing-
not talking about snowstorms, but just sit there for months at a
Same thing at the
time without
Waypoint.
getting moved,
you know,
so.
We've towed some of those and got some moved prior to the winter, a few. And with the idea that we weren't going to be able to get hold of somebody in a snowstorm or after a snowstorm, but
Okay, well, I just want to be sure we're doing everything we can.
We're trying.
Yeah.
I mean, in retrospect too, it's common sense. It's a two-way street. If it's snowing, you know,
You should move your vehicle.
this ban has been in effect for as long as I've lived here. And you got to take some responsibility as that vehicle owner to get it off the street.
Yep.
Or out of the parking lot when, they're going to be picking up snow.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Have
All
we
right.
exhausted that subject?
Appreciate it.
There are more storms coming, so please, folks, pay attention.
I think it's all done. Spring's
Yeah,
almost
Right,
here.
spring's
Spring
almost
is here.
here.
It'll be here Friday and Saturday when it rains.
Aren't you the positive person?
Wow.
Bye, Dave.
Very positive.
Okay, let us move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the self-driving car update. And the only reason I wanted this, because we just talked about the joint meeting, was because we talked about the working group
Yes.
idea, and we need to move that forward on our own. That's not gonna come from the state.
Are we done with the plowing thing?
No,
Yeah, I
we
think
can
so.
certainly go back to the routes if you'd like.
Unless you want to
I
talk
just
more about it,
I-
yeah.
Yeah, I had a question.
Oh,
Sure.
my
On
mistake.
the
Okay.
plowing, you said the plan, the snow removal plan was last updated in 2020?
2000 is the last update that I have.
Oh,
Wow.
this says 2011 on the document.
That was just the map.
It's just
Right.
the map. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
The actual operations manual is 2000. So obviously, we're going to work on this a little
Right.
bit. And,
Sure.
My only, on the
Right.
sidewalk plowing map, what's the green for? That's the only question I got.
Those were new areas that had been added because they were added since the last time the map was updated in 2011.
Oh, okay,
But does that mean they get plowed? 'Cause
Yes.
they
Anything
do.
with a color is plowed.
okay.
Oh,
I just-
okay.
That's what I,
Pink or green. Yes.
Okay,
all right, that's all I wanted.
Just want to give you that just as a heads up.
that's
Yep.
good, because the pink doesn't show the green, but okay.
I think there's some other purple in there too.
There's some weird squiggles on here too, which, I don't know. Okay, so you think at some point there'll be an update on this?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We'll bring it into the 21st century.
Well, and if you've looked at this, you also see there's annual complaints from residents who pay the same taxes as the guy across the street, who never get their sidewalk plowed. There's the ramp that goes down to the school that doesn't get maintained, although it's supposed to be used by the kids who, according to the school district, kids who live up on the perch, which is the streets over the school, the elementary school, are supposed to use that ramp, which takes them less than a mile to get to the school. If they go around, it's a mile or a little more than a mile. So they don't get a bus. So they have to get down to the school, but the ramp's not cared for. It doesn't get plowed. It doesn't get salted. If it gets plowed, it doesn't get salted. And at least I know, just a personal aspect is, at least as my grandkids who live up there, have gotten hurt multiple times going up and down that ramp. And they're supposed to use it because it's longer than a mile to get. And that means also walking in the street from up there, because there's some areas with no sidewalk, right? Coming down around through Burt and stuff. So that's a problem on that plow. And I'm sure that probably doesn't even show on the map.
Well,
So,
maybe we could explore that at some point with revamping in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Or,
I've met with the principal at the elementary school, so we talked a little bit about snow removal, so we'll bring up some more specifics. So, yeah, I met with her right before the holidays.
great. Anything else, Wade?
actually, I think, okay, looking at your map here, that's in red, so I think that would be on the plow route.
And there's a public
I read it
comment,
here.
Deb, when you're ready.
There is a public comment. Okay, wait, I just want to double check. Jigs, did you have anything on this item?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else? Sorry. All right, Shannon, go ahead.
So this was actually about the snow plowing and the towing. So one of the Elijah Zimmer says, I'm concerned at this point about my car being towed after this. If the lots are plowed at random times after the storm, if people don't get 24-hour notice, they don't know when to move. I rarely use my car since I walk the village, so I wouldn't see the signs.
Okay, but unfortunately, as an owner of a vehicle, you need to be responsible for your car. If you're going to park it in the lot for longer periods of time than on daily usage, you'll need to keep an eye on that, as required when you sign for the permit. It is on the permit paperwork, so hopefully you do have that. If you don't, I would contact the clerk again to get another copy. But he'll need to keep track of snowstorms in order to get his vehicle out of there within that 24-hour period. They'll tow it after 12 o'clock midnight. I'm not sure if he's going to respond. Did he come in by text? Is that it?
He would like consistent emails. I think part of the
That's not part of the program.
I can't guarantee what time we'll get to the lots. It all depends storm by storm.
Right.
And
And he's
manpower
looking
and
for
equipment
emails, and
and-
we don't, you're saying we don't do emails. That's
can't-
not,
I can't do that. It's just, it's so,
Yeah.
it really is more storm by storm. So
Yeah.
that's why the phone numbers are important.
there's no policy of emails at all on the document that they sign when they get the permit. So, I mean, we can continue talking about this at another time, or you can contact I suppose you can contact the clerk or the manager if you want to talk about it further. But we don't do emails for this process. Those sandwich boards put out in the lot, and you need to get your vehicle out of there within the 24-hour period to allow them to clean the lot.
Yeah, encourage him to get his phone number to the
Police department.
police department. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll call. Anything further, Shannon?
I don't see any additional comments. Well,
Thank you very much.
Elijah did say updated policy ? But that's it.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, it's problematic. We never know when the next storm's going to come. So there's that. All right. I guess we're ready to move on to the self-driving car update. And we did get a document that Scott passed out to us.
Yeah, so we've been back in touch with the folks from the state who were part of the Zoom presentation at the joint meeting. We've set up a February 1st, sort of initial meeting of this working group, as well as asked for some additional information about, I think there was a lot of discussion at the joint meeting about the liability. So this document I just handed out to you also came as a request from me to them, just asking for some updates. So this gives you the most up-to-date information on the self-driving vehicles, the process, how we'll go through the permit, and then going forward with the working group, if there's other questions, concerns, or comments, we'll certainly bring those back to you before we get into an actual testing period. So we have a ways to go, work to do, but there's at least some, there's some structure involved, and we'll certainly be back before we do anything out in the field so that everybody's comfortable on what the permit requirements are and where we go.
You could email this to us and to the select board too as well, since
I
they're
will also
involved.
share that, yeah. I got this again when I was making these copies this afternoon. It came in late, so I was like, all right, let me at least get it out to you.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure get
Thank
that
you.
out as well.
I mean, at this point, we haven't determined what members of what. You know, will there be citizen members? Will we have certain trustees, certain select board members for a working group? We haven't designated a working group yet, or
Right.
will it be just administration or what? I mean, what do you,
I would prefer to
Propose.
have a member from both of our boards and, try to keep it reasonably small. You guys all know the larger the committee, the less likely it is we're going to
Yeah.
get anything done. So it would be, it would be nice to keep us reasonably small because we're also going to be dealing with state DOT folks. So, if you start getting into large numbers, it gets a little unwieldy. And we'll make sure that we keep everybody in the loop, so.
so then I would ask if any of our members are interested in being on the working group for the self-driving car. Jigs, that includes you. Are you interested?
I would prefer not to be the person. but
Is that a strong maybe?
It's a week maybe.
A week maybe, okay.
You were the one that
I'm the
got
most
all excited about
enthusiastic,
it.
so I'm very happy to do that. But if someone else has a burning desire, I'm more than happy to get out of their way. Apparently, that's a no. Okay, so it'll be me.
Sounds like you volunteered.
Yeah, I volunteer myself.
Okay, Ghost Rider.
Okay, and I want everybody to understand that
Everybody take
$5
one step
million
backwards,
is not on
exactly.
us. It's on the tester. And they have to be approved by the state before they're going to get to our level and advance warrant us. So
Yes.
it's not like some random rodeo rider is going to come into town in a, in a
It's a very
self-driving car.
regulated process and it has a lot of checks and balances, but I want to make sure
Yeah.
everybody's comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the testers are actually from the companies
Correct.
that produce the vehicle.
Correct.
And so you'll want to ask the select board the same thing. Hey, maybe it'll be you.
I actually had somebody before I came in here ask me if is this something that will stop and pick me up if I need a ride. I said no.
Well, it could be if it became a cab service.
If it
Depends-
became a cab
Yeah.
service,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
But as it's testing, no.
No, while it's testing, no. Yeah, right. Just you could just grab on and skitch all the way
Yeah.
to your destination. Yeah, that's it. Any questions for Scott on any of this material we received today? Okay. All right. Jigs, you're all set too?
All set.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is ratification of the local 98 union agreement.
So we basically have done, I believe, we had it at a previous meeting. Didn't we do, I thought we did the distribution with this group. And I don't recall what meeting we did it
Did we
at.
do it at the joint board meeting?
I thought we did it at the
Yeah.
joint board meeting.
We did it.
I'm not sure why it ended up back on here.
I don't know either. I
We-
know it wasn't. Let's
we-
see. It wasn't on one of my
Right.
items.
And yeah, Jigs is.
Yes,
Maybe
Jigs?
Jigs?
We voted to approve it subject to a change, which was not necessary. So
Correct.
Right.
Right.
That's what we wound up with. Yep.
do we need to vote it again or did that?
No.
No, you can just, the document can go forward as it was initially.
It's been all signed by all
Ratified.
parties involved.
Yeah,
So
so we can just cross that out.
So that's a no-go. It's done deal.
No further
Okay.
actions are needed.
Right.
All right. You know where that puts us on to review the agenda items for the next meeting on January 26, 2021. Do we have anything already? At this point?
I've got a few suggestions.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Obviously the minutes,
Yep.
Yes,
um,
got that.
the financials, I assume will be done and accurate and complete.
Yes.
The wastewater plant status, the operational issues there, progress report or
Yep.
update. We we had talked about putting the new phone system proposal on this agenda. It didn't make it. The existing contract, which by the way, we've already spent our full year
Budget on.
budget on.
Mhm.
We, I would imagine we're gonna eliminate that program effective January 31st or February 1st. So I would expect to hear something on that.
Okay.
Right, yeah, that, you had asked for that one. It was
I forgot about that one, to be honest with you.
on my list here somewhere, but.
We can have that on for the 26th. Yep.
Right. Because Shannon had said February 1st or January 31st that
We're
our
done with
contract was
Mitel
over.
this month.
Right, so, and the plans were not to renew
No.
it, so we need a replacement, right?
Yes.
So-
We have a replacement, and we already have it in the works. It was an extension of our cell phone provider, so
Okay.
that, right now, every employee has an extension and a cell phone. Not, the majority of us. So we just extended through our cell phone company. So
Yeah.
we needed, to only obtain 5 phones for those in town hall who do not have cell phones, and then 1 for each of our buildings, such as water, wastewater, things of that nature. So in effect, we are going to pay for 5 additional lines at $30 a piece and get rid of the entire Mitel bill.
Okay, and we would save.
Well, just give us an update of the numbers. What
We will. We'll work through the updated numbers so you
That'd
can
be
see
great.
them. Yes.
So that means when I call, call into the town hall, I'll actually wind up getting accurately the person I'm looking for, not an ex-employee who's been gone for months.
We hope-
Exactly,
yes.
exactly. And it's going to be all the same extensions, and you call the same line.
Okay,
Yeah, we're not changing numbers, but yeah, you should be able to get live people, not gone people.
well, yeah, I'm expecting to get voicemail from time to time, like when I tried to call you tonight, and I
Yes.
wound up getting an ex-employee's voicemail instead of you, or even your voicemail. Okay, so that's some good things, minutes, financials, wastewater,
Phones.
phone system.
Yep.
To get started on for the next agenda. Anyone have any other suggestions at this point? Review the agenda items for the joint board meeting. That's to be determined, so I don't think we have anything just yet.
Not yet. No.
It's a bit premature. We did not get the orders, bills, and warrants this evening, so we don't have those to approve. That'll be something else that'll be on the
26th.
next one,
Yes.
next meeting. Other business. Start with Scott. Anything?
No, I have nothing new.
Jigs, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Stefan?
Other than, I'm sure we've all heard some complaints. We've also heard some compliments, but
Yep.
I just want to say thank you for the highway department. With the storm that we don't normally get. We
Right.
get a lot of snow.
Yeah.
So, that a boy and that a girl to all of the people involved. So,
Yeah, every storm has good and bad.
Yeah.
We're reviewing some of the things that we didn't do well, and I think there was a lot of things we did do well. So and on balance, I was happy, but there are some things we're working on needs improvement. So
Okay, that's good.
you
But
know,
yeah,
30 inches,
overall,
let's hope we
good
don't
job.
get another 30-inch storm. It'd be nice
Oh,
to have
gee.
like a nice little
That's a lot of
6
snow.
to 8 inch, kind of nice, mild managed storm. But we'll take what you sort of roll with the punches.
Okay, so you're all set. And wait,
Not a question, just a comment. I'd like to thank the volunteers at the Bellows Falls Fire Department this last weekend that did their annual Christmas tree pickup around the village. I understand that they collected approximately 125 trees and disposed of them, which is good.
wow,
Right.
So,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's good.
that's a lot of trees.
I think they did it Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
this,
was
this
Sunday,
last
yeah.
Sunday. Yeah. So that's good news.
So
Great. I didn't get mine out in time, but I was waiting for one of my grandchildren to come over. So, and he lives in another state, so I had to wait. I had to wait. It was up the longest ever been, and most of the tree was, I think, on my carpet. That's where I was. Myself, I just want us to pay attention to. You were there yesterday. The Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust meeting about the changes that are occurring. with the old garage here, Frank's old garage in town, and that plan has changed a lot. And they will be continuing meetings and so on and so forth about it. Of course, now that they torn down the facade, it looks horrible. And we'll be looking at that for a few months before they start moving on. But we should continue to try and keep in on the loop so we can hear how they're doing it as they progress, with whether it's adding businesses or how many apartments they're going to have in it and so on and so forth. Because it does impact us, even though the money has nothing to do with the money. It's just about what the village will look like when it's done. So I think it's important for us.
Yeah, I think they have to go to the design review board.
They do.
And do some updates. So there'll definitely be some information that'll be circulated and probably another public process to go through as
Yeah,
well.
and they said they'll continue to have public hearings and that sort of thing about the processes they go along.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we thought we were
just-
getting one thing, and it looks a little different right now.
And just real quick, Deb,
Yeah, Shannon.
there are additional cloth masks, the white masks. They can be obtained at the police department, the fire department, or at town hall. And we have plenty of them. So if anybody's in need.
In need of PPE. Yep, that's great. Thank you very much. I was noticing last week that you'd run out, and there was none on the second floor, but now you've got a resupply. Okay, that's good. All right, and no need for executive session. So look for a motion to adjourn. Okay, I need a second. And a second. All right, all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, folks, and have a good night. Stay warm.